Good morning. I'm going to walk around, if I may. I'm not a politician. Talking of which, I come from marketing, a marketing background. Marketing is centered on customer and the audience, and much of what I'm going to talk about today is the audience. So I should practice what I speak, and if the lights will allow me, I'd like you to do a bit of stretching. Could I just first check that you understand what I'm talking about, or the language, not the content? Can everybody put their hand up if they understand English? I am so relieved to see that. Thank you very much. I've been in Madrid now for 35 years. It's my adopted hometown. It's very strange for me to be speaking English at all in Madrid, but 35 years ago, if I'd said that in a tourism forum, less than half of you would have raised your hands. So it shows that Madrid is progressing. Madrid is becoming, it's always been a focus for tourism, but it's becoming a premium destination. And I use the word premium because although we're going to be talking about neo-luxury, I have heard the word premium tourism used, and I think I prefer I will explain neo-luxury a little bit further, what I understand as neo-luxury. But I prefer premium in the context of a destination because we're talking about adding value to a destination. So we're looking about the high-value traveler is what we're looking for. Somebody who will come and somebody who will contribute, not just cash, but contribute to a destination. And that's much of what we're talking about here. So it's a real neo-luxury to be here speaking to you all. And I'd just like to check as well one other thing. Has anyone could you raise your hand if you've never been upgraded from business to first class? If you have never been upgraded. Okay. The people at the back there, I would invite you now to be upgraded because there's lots of seats here at the front. If you would like to come, it could be a first, and I can guarantee your experience will be much better. So just very quickly, can I go into what we understand or what I understand as neo-luxury? And I say, I'm here really, this is a forum, and there's a forum, it's a discussion, and I would like the discussion and the networking will be done firstly by the experts, and secondly in the bar, probably. So really what I'm here is just to start the conversation going. So I'm not necessarily the neo-luxury expert, but let me just explain where this term neo-luxury is coming from. Luxury has come on. I just searched old luxury on Google, and this lady came up. My apology is if it's anybody's mother. No. Even greater apologies if it's anybody's wife. But this is sort of the traditional idea of where luxury started. It was luxury of object, of ownership, of possession of property, and luxury items that not everybody else could have. Okay. Way back in the Middle Ages, the word investment, some of you might know, came from Middle Ages. Ladies in Italy, the only way to show off and to flaunt wealth was by the material and the cloth that they were wearing. So they spent their money, invested their money in vestments, in clothes, to show how rich they really were. So this is where luxury came. It's look what I have and what you don't, and look what I can enjoy and you can't. And it was all about ownership of things. Interestingly, now in the neo-luxury, we have concepts such as rental and sharing of luxury items. So people say, I enjoy wearing a luxury watch, but I don't necessarily need to own one. So we can do that. That's a different trend there. So it's property and luxury. Then came new luxury, which was when we started talking about the experience economy. And that was a democratization of luxury concepts. That means that saying, okay, there were a lot of people as middle classes grew, as wealth grew, we're saying, okay, what I'm looking for is the experience and not necessarily the ownership of that experience, okay? So it was doing things and experiencing things. And that, for a lot of the five-star hotels of you that happen to be here, was very good news for business because it meant there was a traffic of people coming through properties, exclusive experiences, that for a treat for themselves would spend money to have an experience that they wouldn't have in their everyday life. So it was a luxury, but you didn't have to be of the elite to enjoy that luxury. So neoluxury, where do we get to neoluxury? Neoluxury now is, if you like, the new luxury just by definition. So it's the new luxury, so we ran out of terminology and started calling it neoluxury. But neoluxury, for me and for destinations particularly, is the most interesting concept because it takes the democratization of luxury to a next step. I'll explain how in a moment. It adds components that are now becoming important and mega trends and important in the discourse of tourism generally, such as sustainability. And if we've gone from ownership of things to experiences to feelings. So it's now a much more sensual idea of luxury, and it's feeling things. So that's just a bit of introduction. And sorry, just to give credit where credit's due, those definitions, if you like, came from experts in neo-luxury, John Muir from Keelands and Julia Reidenreiner. So not necessarily myself. But if we talk to those, and this is where I come in, because we are a destination. ITG is a tourism marketing agency. We are only marketing travel and tourism for the last 35 years. We have offices throughout Europe, Spain, France, Italy, Netherlands, UK, Germany, etc. We are basically European, as I say. And what we do is we market mainly destinations. We do travel products as well, but it's mainly destinations. So with that concept, we're saying, okay, here is another segment, but it's not another segment. It's now leading tourism recovery. And with the concept of premium, everybody wants to have a premium traveler because everybody wants the maximum value from them. Destinations now are focusing on this area particularly because as luxury has come out of the niche exclusive boutiques, it is actually reaching into the streets. As consumers are demanding experiences and authenticity, then you have to walk the walk. You cannot just talk the talk. You cannot say, just as you cannot say, we are a sustainable destination without being one, because you will very soon be found out. You cannot say, we are a luxury destination without being one. So you have to walk the walk. And to do that has tremendous benefits, because now neo-luxury, as we said, is bringing luxury onto the streets. So if people are saying, I don't just want to have a luxury experience in the ghetto of my 5-star hotel or Michelin star restaurant, I want every aspect of my trip, from when I arrive at the airport, even from when I plan my trip, to when I arrive, to when I consume my travel product, when I go out of my hotel, everything must be premium. And by premium, for the destination, this means value, value to the destination. For the consumer, this means quality, okay? And there are different concepts of what is quality. I can be having a premium experience when I travel, which I have done, with my children to Kenya, for example, and we're staying in a mud hut without electricity or running water. That is a premium experience, okay? Because it's what I've been sold, it's what I expect, and it's what I want to feel. So destinations are, of course, focusing on this. It's good for business. If a premium is considered valuable, then obviously we want the cash. So let's go, how do we do this? So we're saying the main thing we need to do, well, there are 3 key aspects to marketing towards that premium tourist. First, you have to know who they are, which is what we will talk about in a moment. The more you know about them, the more you can tailor the messaging, the offers, and your product to their needs. Okay? It's about walking the walk, not talking the talk. Then it's a tourism that's now expecting a certain amount of co-creation, involvement in the creation of their own tourism experience. So they're saying, okay, I want you to tailor this to my needs. I expect you to know what my needs are, and if not, I will tell you. But for goodness sake, listen to me when I'm talking to you. Okay? That's co-creation of the tourism product. So it's not just categorized, standardized, pigeon-boxed, this is what your package is. It's co-creation. And then finally, digitalization we can't avoid, just as any conversation of this sort, digitalization and sustainability are the two topics that we end up talking about, there has been a certain amount of digital detox in the luxury product. Okay, people have been, particularly during COVID, they've been overstressed and they've been digitalized, et cetera. And they want to get away and they want to detox from digitalization. Paradoxically, the best way to help identify the people that need digital detox is to use digital marketing. So we will talk about that later. But digitalization is also being involved in the tourism experience. So there are aspects such as virtual and augmented reality, et cetera, and the digital needs to go in there. What I'm going to talk about very briefly now is the way we approach that as a marketing organization. This is not selling my book. If you want to buy it, then that'd be great. I just need to write it. No, this is, if you Travelize and Interface Tourism and the ITG Group, all of the companies that we are working for and working with, we have been using big data for several years now, for a long, long time, and big data is obviously the key to all digital marketing. We can pinpoint almost everybody that we want to find. Where we had a challenge was identifying and creating the profile to give to those programmatic advertising agencies to say, go and find 1,000 people like this, or go and find 1 million people like this. So that's where the challenge was. So what we needed was a way to qualify the big data. So the way to do that was with big qualitative data, so large amounts of surveys, qualitative data, etc. So Travelize is a platform that we have created as a tool for ourselves, but also the information is available to other people. And it's just an approach to how important it is and how you can find information about destinations. So it's a survey that's done in multiple countries, as you can see, in Europe only, so this is European, but in the context of COVID recovery, realistically, the focus for a city in Madrid, so a city in Europe such as Madrid, should be Europe in the short term, particularly in the immediate term. That said, we are extending the Travelize database and survey to the US and China as from 2022. So what we do is we do a survey which takes a long time for people to fill in. It's a long online survey, 30 minutes asking them about 3 different things. Demographic, firstly, who are you? Perception, which destinations have you been to, which have you not been to, what do you think about them? It's as important for us, and I know Madrid does great work, for example, doing consumer surveys of tourists in Madrid. It's as important for a destination to know why they didn't come to Madrid than it is to know what their experience or why they did. Okay? So we do the perception of destinations and image, experience, satisfaction ratings, etc. And then the third and most important part is travel behavior. How do they get inspired? What do they feel? What are their concerns about health and safety, particularly post-COVID? How do they book travel? How do they consume travel? And all of that. And then what the clever thing that I still don't understand, but my developer guys do, is that what the platform does is then crosses those 3 blocks in almost unlimited ways to create 9.2 million data sets. So it's 9.2 million pieces of information about these consumers around Europe. And you can ask more or less any question. This is just to give you an idea of how that is done. These are just screenshots here. So you can search a destination, in this case Germany, and you can say, okay, I'm only interested in those who have a holiday budget of over 50,000 euros. Then you can say, okay, and I also want to hone in on those that have an interest in fine dining because I'm a Michelin-star restaurant, or I'm a destination doing shopping tourism, wellness, etc. So we can filter through. For the purpose of this, and we only have 5 minutes left, so for the purpose of today, I have just taken some very broad segmentation there, and I've said, okay, well, let's look at European travelers who spend more than 30,000 euros a year on leisure travel. So that's 30,000 euros as a vacation. A luxury traveler, going back to the beginning, is not necessarily a rich traveler, but it's value traveler. So let's just, for sake of simplicity, we have focused on getting some insights as to who is that traveler now and what are they thinking now post-COVID. This survey was, the last wave of the survey was done in late August of this year. So of those, just to qualify a little bit more, of those, that segment that we did, those who have a spending of over 30,000 euros per year on leisure travel per household, interestingly, 44.2% or 42.4% of them actually had more than 50,000. So once you get above a certain level, money becomes less of an object, if you like. But just to get an idea, the similarities between those groups. Interestingly, and good news here, not surprisingly, I suppose, between 2021 and coming out of COVID, but over 70% said that they would spend the same or more next year when they're traveling. So what is important to those travelers? And here's where things start getting a little bit interesting. Obviously, in post-pandemic surveys, health and hygiene is going to be their number one, what they are expecting as a minimum in any destination. So health and hygiene, you don't need to explicitly talk about it, but you need to walk the walk. You need to deliver that. And if you don't, you will become unstuck very soon. Then number two on that list of 35 things, 35 aspects in a destination that influence your decision and that you consider important or very important. Number two is living new experiences. Living new experiences for the under 30,000 comes in at about 12th position. So those who have the higher income are looking for experiences. They're not looking for necessarily for rest and relaxation or sun and beach. They're saying, no, experiences, new experiences, something different. So that's where the destination needs to be creative. That's where co-creation comes in very important, because you need to create together, and you need to say what sort of new experiences can we continually be evolving and delivering. And some interesting things about misconceptions or how we have transitioned from that old luxury to the neo-luxury is the concept of food. Interestingly, in this list here, exciting food experiences is much more of a motivator. I haven't got the list there, but the list. But exciting food is in 8th position, and fine dining, as in Michelin-star restaurants, etc., is in 12th. So it's more important to have an authentic gastronomic experience that you can't have at home than necessarily a quality 5-star restaurant. Michelin star is a great calling card, and it's a great thing to bring in luxury tourism. But those same people who are visiting today a Michelin star restaurant, tomorrow want to go to a street market or to a local restaurant. So exciting food experiences are becoming in. A big thing from COVID is nature and outdoors. People obviously are wanting to get outdoors, not such good news for cities necessarily. But nature and outdoors is now more important than things like culture or visiting a big city or even wellness and spa. Okay, so they want to get out in the environment. Again, post-COVID, quite interesting. And then for 31.4% of the people who are spending more than 30,000 euros a year on their holiday, sustainability and environmental concerns is a very important factor. So let's dig into that one very quickly. My last minute, sorry guys. I want to touch on sustainability because it is interesting, again, misconception. People, wealthy tourists are not necessarily sustainable tourists. Actually, they are considerably more. So 21.9% of these high-end travelers have actually taken part in some rural activity or some community tourism activity in their last vacation, compared to 9.5% of those who are spending less. 31.4% have said that the environmental concerns are important in destination choice, versus 27% of the others. 13.7% have actively taken part in some sort of social environmental activism. They have actively supported a project in the destination. Again, considerably more, almost 3 times as much as those of lower incomes. So sustainability is going to be key and important. Quickly on where are they staying, and we will go here as well. Another thing, just to have a look, of course they are staying in the luxury hotels. but also they are, this year, because of COVID, renting private accommodation. They're going for private yachts more than cruises, again, COVID-related, more interesting. But what is actually perhaps here to point out is that only 3.1% of them said that they would choose they prefer to choose a global brand, such as Four Seasons, Marriott, etc. I'm not saying Four Seasons, Marriott, etc. is not a great thing to have in the city. It certainly is, very definitely. But even the big global brands are creating sub-brands to differentiate themselves from the big global I'm all the same concept. Okay, so differentiation becomes very, very important. Last issue here, and I think this is my last issue. I'm just going to go to Inspire because I'm concerned of time. Sorry. How to inspire and how to reach these people. The previous slide, by the way, was just demonstrating that the wealthier people are, the less apprehensive they are about traveling after COVID. So the premium tourist is less concerned about government warnings and about traveling post-COVID. So that's another reason for focusing in on them. Finally, just some things about marketing, how to reach these people, because then we say, where do you get your inspiration? For the first time, premium travelers of all ages, this is all ages, obviously it varies a lot by age, but of all ages across the board, take more notice of social networks than their own friends and family. That's the first time that's happened in our report. Interestingly, TikTok has overtaken TripAdvisor, again, for all ages, which is quite a surprising figure there. And it varies depending on ages.
Chris.
I'm off, sorry, thank you very much. That was my last takeaway. I'm going to go away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. It was very interesting.